Okay, here's a continuation, I guess, a part two of my story. Anyway, I was saying, every morning wake up feeling awful, and just not able to function because of the night before, what I did, and then never going to drink again. And then somewhere along during the day, a switch would flip, and I would be dead set on doing the same thing again tonight. Uh, and I loved it. It was, I loved being drunk. I enjoyed it. Alcohol became my best friend. But I never got to the point where, some people where I'd end up in the hospital or um, just, passed out drunk in a bar or something like that. It never got to that point for me. But I tell you what, it would have because I've never lived alone. I've always lived with a roommate or someone, and I was married, and anyone who I was with would have disapproved of that, definitely. Um, and I always hid it and didn't have opportunity to totally indulge myself as I think I would have had I lived alone. So, in my mind, there's no doubt that I would ended up killing myself or something close to that had I continued. So I guess this is kind of an Alcoholics Anonymous online. Uh, and I think from my own experience, the thing that has helped me the most is hearing others' experience. I've never been to an AA meeting in person, but if I have to do that, I will. That'll be my next thing I do if I relapse. But I listening to people online explain their own experiences and talk, it just makes you feel close to someone who has, because no one understands, the condition that we have. And hearing someone else talk about it and how they are dealing with it from day to day, on a day-to-day basis, it just gives you hope and gives you strength and gives you some perspective and puts some sense into your mind and makes the day less complicated. It just gives me a peace. It's like throwing water on the fire when I hear someone else talk about their own experience, even if it's a failure or even a success, hopefully. It really helps hearing that, and also reading literature on alcoholism. And so I've been sober 7 days, which I have been before, but never in this way. It's really been, I have a plan this time, and feel like I have some groundedness, and every day I begin each day determined to be sober just for this day. And I think that's a really good thing to do. They say one day at a time. You hear all these cliches. Well, they came about, for a reason, from people who've had experience with addiction. And one thing I realized, it's not only, alcohol wasn't the problem. It wasn't. It was my thinking and my behavior towards it. And, because I was that way in everything. Alcohol just made it really acute because it's so mind-altering. But anything I would do would be to an extreme. And I found by trying to changing my attitude towards things, actively, then it changes my behavior. And then I'm not so excessive or extreme about everything else, and it makes it easier to resist the temptation to go out and buy alcohol again. For example, I can become obsessed about, if I find an actor I like and I start watching their movies, I might try to find I would try to find every movie they ever made and watch that. So I would complete that project and finish it and do it completely. And finally I realized that was not, that was destructive to me. It was a feeling of, not being good enough, having to do something totally, inside out to get it done and complete to where there could be nothing left that lacked. And now I don't do that. I see that in my life, and I shy away from that now. I do try different things instead of trying just one thing. Fill your life with different things throughout the day. And I start too by thinking, I used to feel like every day was a failure at the end of the day. I felt, well, I didn't do everything I wanted to do. I didn't do extraordinary things today. I didn't, do wonderful, had this be a productive, totally day. And instead of thinking that, I wake up thinking, well, this day is not going to be extraordinary. I'm not going to do extraordinary things, but I'm going to do some things. I'm going to enjoy the day. I'm going to get some things done that I would like to do. And I'm going to do some things that will help others, some things that will help my family, instead of being selfish and always, doing what I would want to do first. I think what would be good for my kids and my wife. Because when you're drinking, or any habit, it could be nicotine or whatever, it takes so much away from your everyday life. Even if you only drink at night, when you wake up the next morning, you feel, the hangover and the withdrawal and all of that, you're not able to function and be what you need to be for your kids or your wife, and you feel awful. And also the guilt and everything. You're not able to be the person that you could be were you sober. Even with smoking, you think how many times you go outside to smoke, or how much of your life is spent smoking and killing yourself that could be spent with family or doing something productive as a human being. And I've just found some balance with the internet here. Not because it's embarrassing to admit you're an alcoholic. It's embarrassing to admit you have an addiction to anything, because it makes you feel weak and powerless. Because we want to not need help from anyone, but the truth is we all need help from other people. We could not live our life on this earth if we didn't depend on other people for things. I mean, you think about it. We all depend on each other, and when we realize that and we start to try to be a part of things and be included in things instead of isolating ourselves. And drinking does that. It isolates you because you know what you're doing, and you don't want anyone to know about it or to judge you, so you withdraw and you do it in secret, and it takes you out of the game, and you become isolated, and you drink yourself to oblivion, and you're not able to interact with people and all the things that you could be had you not been drinking. Well, whatever the substance is, I learned it's not just alcohol. It can be anything, and these things can be applied to any addiction we have, and it's a thinking problem. It's not a drinking problem. It's a thinking problem, and we have to change start to change some things in our lives and our attitudes and our behavior, and then we'll find it's less and less likely that we may drink. That feeling of wanting to drink, I think, will never go away. But or thinking, well, maybe I could do this, maybe that never leaves. We're always going to have that, but the likelihood or desire to go back to that becomes increasingly diminished from what I've heard and from my own experience now. So this has been a new beginning for me. Anyone that wants to have your story be heard on this channel, you can contact me via YouTube, and you can create an account just for this, and it's anonymous, and you can upload the video, and I'll favorite it here, or you can tell me how you'd like to send it via email or whatever, and I'll follow that. But of course, total anonymity is up to you. If you'd like to show your face, then go ahead. But it helped. I'm doing this for myself first because it's working, and I'm seeing a wonderful life emerge in my own life, and I feel like it could help others as well. So that's all I have.